And we are recording. All right. So, I should stay in frame. So tonight is releasing what does not serve because we're in waning moon. And there's myself and Miss Ragasi. Okay, gonna plug in my microphone. And there we go. Okay. Alrighty. So, I'm sorry?
I said, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I can go closer. There. So I'm in frame. Well, I have it squished down so it's easier to see because I normally have it more up because I teach dance class. And so yeah, so I have it more this way. Now it's this way, if that makes more sense. So let me do that. Let me get this closer. Yeah. All right. So there were 7 people that registered for the Zoom option. We will see if anyone joins because I have it set up that people can join at any time. That I don't have to keep getting up and let people in.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I hate that.
You have like a little switch. Yeah.
Well, I do have a clicker to turn it on, like, for that, but all right, so because of waning moon, that's what I picked. We just waning moon is a really good time to as the moon is decreasing. Obviously it's the same size, but from our perspective here on Earth, it looks like it's getting smaller. So this is a great time to anything you want to diminish, anything you want to be smaller, anything you want to just get rid of. It's a good time to do that. And we're also going to do some cord magic with yarn. And anything that you would like to share about the moon phase or cord magic or releasing.
Well, the main thing that, first of all, I think that it's so powerful to watch in your own experience where is this true for you? Where do you see that like the energy is dwindling and that things are seeming like they're wanting to be let go of, and not just making it up, you know what I mean? Like we can consciously go, oh, that's what this is about. That's what this time is about. And then I love to watch and participate and play with the stuff that Mary's talking about. So enriching. And then I also like, and this is the very foundation when I was first taught, was before I was taught how to do anything, I was told to just watch and see. Is it doing that? Is that what the energy is? And so that was a real pain in my butt because I was young and I'm like, just tell me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just give me what to do.
Yeah.
And and I'm so glad that everything that I did, I was just watch and see if this is your experience. And half the time I was like, I don't know. I don't see anything. But I love being reminded of, because I haven't put a lot of focus on the waxing and waning moons as much as the new and full moons, but they're very much a part of our experience. And I really love being reminded that I can look at things that seem to be wanting to fall away, the things that I know I want to get better at or enhance in my life. And what's the opposite of those two things? Right? Because you can look at two sides of that same coin. What seems like it's wanting to fall away? Well, this BS, this jealousy BS keeps coming up, Oh, all right. My self-worth issues. Okay, well, it's coming up because it's wanting to heal. Yeah. It's not just coming up to be a pain in my butt. Right? So first of all, we see that, and that's really beneficial to recognize that. And then we're approaching it with the right perspective, the right energy, because if I'm just looking at something and I'm just wanting to get rid of it, then I'm really like adding energy to the problem. That's what I've noticed. Like, here's a problem, it needs to be fixed, and I'm going to work on all the ways to get rid of it, as opposed to this thing's already wanting it's already moving.
Mhm.
It's already wanting to shift. It's already shifting. And how am I going to participate in that? And it's a very different energy than like, I mean, when you have things that you're trying to work on and you're like, oh, it's like, yeah, and you feel like a failure because you're not getting rid of it fast enough. Whereas
Mm.
just like when something's growing in our life,
Mhm.
we can help. We can help.
Yeah, you two are like,
Well, I'm not the gardener. I'm the idea in the medicine.
oh, see, my head, you have this lush garden.
Not yet. I
kind of
just
thing.
have a love affair with them, but I'm not growing yet. Just the ones in my house, not the ones outside. I don't. But anyways, we're letting go of things. Like, what is this? This is my self-worth. This is me not feeling good enough. Like, this is something that we all have. And so, okay, like getting just really quiet with it, and then saying, yes, I'm gonna participate in this in a loving way, not in just a like executionary way.
Yeah.
And which is more actually for me, it's more practical and more powerful. It's more effective to do it that way because then I'm not like then I'm participating in a process, not just responsible to be the thing that removes this thing once and for all.
Right.
Because that is where it reinforces self-worth issues. It reinforces us doubting ourselves, distrusting ourselves. And so I just that's the main thing. Like watching and seeing, and then seeing how you can participate in it. And that's why I love little like the different things that we do for rituals because they're us participating in it in a symbolic way, but also adding energy to it, to keep doing what it's already doing. It's like that, watching the seasons, watching like the last time I was here when Mary had on her board. Like this is already happening. We are already part of this thing. So just adding some awareness and some attention to it. Seems like it magnifies it and it amplifies. Like that
and then if there's something that you do want in your life, but you want to instead of waiting until the waxing moon. Oh, and here's a really good way that I remembered waning moon and waxing moon. So when I was a kid, there were commercials for like Pledge or whatever with no waxy buildup. Okay, so that's how I remembered waxing, like, because it builds up, right? And then waning sounds like weaning, when a mother weans her babies. So that's how I remembered the difference between waxing and waning. So if there's something that you do want and you don't want to wait until the waxing phase is, you can think of what obstacles are in the way of your desired result, your desired outcome. And then you can release those now, even if they're your own creation. Sometimes we get in our own way. Sometimes we sabotage ourselves, right?
I never do.
Because I mean, we always talk about being afraid to fail, but I think we all know how to fail. And I think, you know what I mean? I think sometimes there's deep under the layers, there's a fear of, well, what happens if I do succeed?
For sure. I've seen that in me big time. Like then I have to change. If I succeed, then things are changing. And that's scary. At this point, because I don't have any control in that situation. I don't know who else have to be.
Right.
So yeah, for sure. I love that.
Well, it just popped in my head that it's something that Kathy said. I'm like, oh yeah, I better share this. So she's not physically here, but she was just here.
Oh, yeah.
She was just here. All right. So cord magic or knots magic. It goes way back. There's even tales of sailors buying knots from witches that would have winds in them.
Ah.
Yeah. So because you can't get around in a giant boat without wind, right? So they would buy cords with knots in them, and so when they needed wind, they would untie a knot to bring wind. So this goes way back, but it's very simple. Like I'm sure everybody has some sort of string of some kind, right? So it doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't necessarily have to be a particular color. Whatever. I just happen to have this at home. I don't knit. I just already had it. So the idea is what we're going to do tonight is each item that you want to get rid of, you're going to tie that into your string. And then we're going to burn them.
Bring that
So-
fire in there.
Yeah, well, and then I mean, burning things on both, because it just speaks to us, I feel.
I think so, yeah.
So if you already came prepared with what you want to get rid of, and then for those people watching the replay, if you don't have yarn, don't worry about it. You can do this with paper. You can. Oh, you must have a lot.
I was like, man, I thought mine was
Well, if you don't,
All right, I'll take it.
double not
yeah. And so so you can just write on a piece of paper, and then just burn those pieces of paper. And if you're like, well, I just can't burn anything, and where I'm at, totally understand. If you're lucky enough to be near water, like we've got, water right here, you can take a leaf, blow an item, whatever, and it's not that you're asking for like any harm. Like if there's a person that's bad for you, you know what I mean, and you want that person just gone from your life, you can just blow into that leaf and set it in the water and wash it, go down river. And it's not that you're asking for anything bad to happen to that person. You just would like them to move on. Right.
Your life.
So
Go
just
watch somebody
so
else.
just because yeah, there you go. There you go. So just because we're burning things doesn't mean we're trying to burn the person.
Right.
There is such a thing called sympathetic magic, where you probably don't know that word, but everybody knows of a voodoo doll, right? Right. And if you've seen they play it every Halloween time. The Witches of Eastwick.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a comedic, it's a funny scene. So we're not doing anything like that. I just wanted you to know we're not asking for any harm, right? So it's always a good idea to you can always add a writer, like if you had a contract, a writer, I can't think of your other word for it, with harm to none. I like to say things in rhyme because I remember them better. So I'll always say, for the good of all and with harm to none, so say I, so shall it be done. Right? Yeah. So that way it's for the good of everybody, not just what I want, because the universe always knows, like, okay, I realize that you think you want this over here, but we have something better for you. Sometimes you have to wait for that. Which, if you're impatient like me, you're like, I want it now. So does anybody have any questions about anything so far? Okay, so just everything that you think of that you want to eliminate, banish, release, whatever word you want to think of, then you're just gonna tie that into your yarn, and as many as you want. Okay. You can go as far back as you need. Like if something happened when you're 4 years old, you're still carrying that,
Nice.
right? And we're being obviously very quiet right now. But if you were to do this by yourself and you needed to be vocal, like to even get it out of your body more, then that's totally fine. Don't feel like you have to do this in silence. And you can do this anytime, really. That like if you ever need to just release something, like she's saying, stuff will just pop up. There was one time I was driving home. I'm just driving, watching the road, watching for deer, and something came up, and I was like, "That's weird. Where did that come from?" And I was like, "Okay, somebody's trying to get my attention about this, and I don't really, I didn't understand it at the time."
Yep, it
Yeah.
is. It's moving
Moving
out.
on
girl.
Very strong.
And if you think later, "Oh, I should have done this. Oh, I didn't. I forgot about blah blah blah." Don't worry about it. I mean, you can do this as many times as you want to, as you need to.
Make a list.
it's not a bad idea to also drink a lot of water. 'Cause as you release from your spiritual body, you can also release from your physical body.
So great.
It just popped in my head.
Well, that's girl.
I
I have a lot too.
She's over there.
I have a lot
I've
too.
been thinking about it all day.
Okay,
Like,
good.
Awesome.
Okay, so, we've been really quiet. But one of the things that, when you want to affect change, one of the things we do, or one of the things you can do, is, raise energy by chanting. Yeah, yeah. So we're going to, this one does not rhyme. The next one is gonna rhyme. This one does not rhyme, but I want you to, there's just 2 lines. I release what holds me back. I transform decay into rebirth. And so as we're saying though, is everybody done putting their things? Okay, okay. You don't want to rush you.
Use that whole string.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Oh,
I can
wow.
do this.
I can feel the
I
weight
look
already.
Yeah. I look up to the challenge.
Wow. Okay. So what we can do, because we're gonna burn these in the tea. So we're we can keep nodding as we say this and make it instead, you know what I mean? So if I can say it, then you can say it after me, if that's easier. I release what holds me back.
I
Release what holds me back. I transform decay into rebirth. I transform decay into rebirth. I release what holds me back.
I release what holds me back.
I transform decay into rebirth.
I transform decay into rebirth.
I release what holds me back.
I release what holds me back.
I transform decay into rebirth.
I transform decay into rebirth.
I release what holds me back.
I release what holds me back.
I transform decay into rebirth.
I
Rebirth.
transform decay into rebirth.
I release what holds me back.
I release what holds me back.
I transform decay into rebirth.
I transform decay into rebirth.
I release what holds me back.
I release what holds me back.
I transform decay into rebirth.
Transform decay into rebirth.
I release what holds me back.
I release what holds me back.
I transform decay into rebirth.
I transform decay into rebirth.
I release what holds me back.
I release what holds me back.
I transform decay into rebirth.
I transform decay into rebirth.
I release what holds me back.
I release what holds me back.
I transform decay into rebirth.
I transform decay into rebirth.
I release what holds me back.
I release what holds me back.
I transform decay into rebirth.
I transform decay into rebirth.
I release what holds me back.
I release what holds me back.
I transform decay into rebirth.
I transform decay into rebirth.
I release what holds me back.
I release what holds me back.
I transform decay into rebirth.
I transform decay into rebirth.
Okay. So,
I think I did something wrong.
Yours is like a little person.
It is.
It's like a noose.
all right. So I'm gonna add some Reiki to this. I'm gonna add holy fire just because, and I don't know your. Well, you're a Reiki master, but I don't know your lineage. Sorry. Oh, okay, okay, okay. Yeah, because I just did the holy fire. So because of fire, that's why I wanted to add holy fire to this. And you don't have, if you're like, what is Reiki? What is she talking about? Yeah, okay. So, so
I've heard very little, like, I kind of understand a little bit of what it is.
That's about it.
So Qi is, you might know it better by the word Qi, like Qigong, Tai Chi. So it's the universal life force. There's over 360 kinds of Qi. Don't ask me what they all are, but oh, it's raining. So we could maybe add some cleansing rains out there. Yeah. Okay. Ray means universal. Sorry, shining moment. So it's universal life force. You can kind of think of like the force in Star Wars. But everything vibrates. Whether it's a solid, like a rock. They were like, well, these are just stones. How do they work? But even though we can't see with our eyes that they vibrate, we know from astrophysics or physics, sorry, that they vibrate. So everything's a vibration. So I'm going to, and you can add some Reiki as well, since you're a Reiki master. I just wanted to add some holy fire to it. So Reiki can't hurt anything. It can be transferred over distance, just like a cell phone call. It can be transferred via touch. You can Reiki things, like if the road is slippery, you can Reiki your animals, your children, your food. Okay.
I feel that.
So, so I took I took a chant from like the Appalachian Magic, tweaked it just a teeny bit, just a teeny bit. So this one is going to rhyme, and I feel it's so much easier when things rhyme. Okay, so I'm gonna keep feeding, and if you want to, you may as well, feeding the Reiki energy. And here's the thing, for those of you doing the replay, there's no such thing as time. Like we're programmed from childhood that, okay, let's teach you how to tell time, right? And the satellites are making these microsecond configurations to make sure they're on time, right? But in there's not the linear time that we really think of. So you could do this any time and tap into this energy. Yeah, because I've watched some recordings and felt the energy just whoosh over me, because it wasn't live, but I still felt it. Yeah. So for those of you at home, if you're like, oh, I can't do it, yes, you can. Join us now. Okay. All right. So when you feel comfortable, you're just gonna set this on fire and set it in the cauldron. And our chant is going to be, fire, burn it gone, burn it all away. As the darkness gives to dawn, comes the light of day. And so the original uses water. Water wash it all away, but we're burning things away. So I feel it still works. And I actually feel it works a little better, because as the darkness gives way to the light is from a big flaming ball of gas in the sky. So, right. So I feel like it works a little bit better. So fire, burn it gone, burn it all away. As the night breaks to dawn, comes the light of day. I'll keep saying it. I'll keep saying it. No, you're fine. And then when you feel ready, you light it on fire and throw it in the cauldron. Okay. Fire, burn it gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it, gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it, gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it, gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it, gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it, gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it, gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Ooh. Fire, burn it, gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it, gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it, gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it, gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it, gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it, gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it, gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it, gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it, gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it, gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it, gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. Fire, burn it, gone, burn it all away. As the darkness leads to dawn, comes the light of day. So mote it be.
Wow.
I like felt
was
that.
good.
It's just like,
You ladies are
Well, you know.
Monday 3. That was so fun. Oh my
I just like felt it. All the tension in my back just like
Oh.
gave out. A whole moment.
Yeah.
Can't wait for that sleep tonight. Are you sleeping?
And that is a thing. So, if you feel a pain in a certain part of your body, it's because it manifested something that, because first it hits your metaphysical body, whatever's going on. And then if you don't address it, then it hits you.
Just mold.
Everything.
Well, look at Kathy. She doesn't look like, just today, someone was like, you are not 66 years old. It's like, yes, I am. So. I didn't. Okay, I was like, I feel like we made good time.
It was great.
Anything that you want, like any departing words?
Just what we just did is just some of the elements to that. It sometimes can feel like pretend play or like a little bit silly when you're trying to do it by yourself, or sometimes more or less that in a group or by yourself. But that raising of like having your intention, knowing what you're going to do and why, And then having that building of the energy somehow, whether you're chanting or singing a song or drumming or something and building, oming or whatever, and building that energy helps you to kind of get in the space. You saw Mary was telling us what she's going to say, and then she closed her eyes and started to she was transmitting those words, not just saying them. And so you get into the rhythm, and then you start to get into a little bit of an altered state, which actually helps you to, it makes the power more, like the Reiki energy, the letting go, the whatever, more. And this is why when we use the weave, and it was this repetition that would put us in an altered state, and we'd start having visions for what was happening to our children, our lovers, our sisters, our mothers, because all of a sudden there's no time and space, and we just know what's happening.
Right.
It takes us out of that normal thinking mind and puts us into a different state, and ritual does that for us too. So I just wanted to speak into that. And then as we're chanting, we're all letting go more and more, like literally, of that logical part of ourselves. And then it's exacerbated in a beautiful way. It's amplified in a beautiful way. I just wanted to speak to some of it. Like, this is what we just did and why it's so powerful to do it together. It's like exponentially juiced up.
Supercharged.
So thank you for being my witness. Thanks for being here, and I will be back next week.
Yay.
Thank you, Mary, for doing this.
Oh.
It's so awesome. This is gonna get so needed. Thanks, everybody.
Good night.
All right, so I'm gonna grab my water after all the chanting. All right, so what kind of questions do you ladies have? It does not have to be about what we just did, but obviously.
No, I like that stuff. I like the fact that as soon as you get to the point where you know what the words are,
Yes.
you just,
Yeah.
it sends you into that trance state where you're just sometimes I come out of it and I'm like, am I even saying the right words right now? I feel like something completely different is coming out of my mouth.
Yeah, and if you are doing it by yourself, like for instance, I've made black salts, because people came in and asked me for black salt, and it's something that around here most people don't know about. It's more in the South. So when I was making it, I just kept stirring and saying it over and over again, but I was tripping over my words because I wasn't using my logical brain anymore. It was just starting to flow, and it wasn't. So if that does happen, and you're like, oh, well, this isn't exactly what she said. If it's starting to flow from you, that's okay. Yeah. So don't let that trip you up and be like, oh, fudge, I messed up the words. It's not. It's your intent.
Right.
The words help a lot, but it's more your intent.
Yeah. It's like when you come out of that subconscious for a minute, you're like, what am I even saying? Like, what are these words that are coming out? You don't even know, because you're so like, you just get so, you're in the zone. You're just in trance.
Yeah.
Like, and that helps me with meditation to like just repeat the same thing, like get into that state instead of just trying to sit there and like it doesn't work for me. I need like a repetitive thing to like put my brain in that trance. That's how I get when I make products. I just get into it's like I just get into my groove, and like, I mean, it's ritual too, the way that I do things, so even without even knowing that it is.
And in sports, it's called flow state. And if I'm wrong, someone will, I'm sure, correct us or correct me. But I believe it started with surfers, where they're just really just at one, because they have to make these micro corrections with their balance, and to stay in tune with the water.
Right.
And so, but like somebody that can be working on, they could be writing a book, they could be working on a math problem, anything that like lights them up, they're working on it, then you kind of lose yourself.
Right.
You can lose time. You can be like, oh my gosh, where did the last 2 hours go? Yeah.
I think the problem nowadays is like that some people get that trance from their cell phone instead of getting that trance from doing things, reading books,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It has a lot to do with why our society
I just put a nap.
A nap. That's some days my
That's how I lose track of time.
Hey, some days my nap is my meditation. Like I meditate, I'm like lay there and meditate, and then I'm like wake up 2 hours later and go, I would just take a 2-hour nap.
And I will say that can happen when you're shifting things in your life, whether it's a physical shift, or metaphysical shift. Sometimes it will affect you, to the point where you're like, oh my God, I have no idea why I'm so tired right now. So
That's my problem.
That's kind of like a lot of like what I let go of today was that just constant physical tiredness. I just
Mm.
feel like I'm drained all the time. And then even when I sleep, I don't sleep well.
Mm.
But like last night, I fell asleep at 11 o'clock, Callan, and I slept till I woke up once.
Mhm.
I don't know. I just woke up and I was scared, and I wrote like over his spine, and I just fell right back to sleep.
Mm.
And then he didn't start till 8 o'clock.
Oh,
And I was
great.
like, I looked at the clock and I was like, slept 8. I got like almost 9 hours of great sleep.
Oh,
last night.
awesome.
And tonight I'll probably be up until 3 a.m.
Oh no.
Yeah, that helps too.
Mhm.
Like, I just felt it like build up all in my shoulders, which is where I carry all of the things I
yeah.
just let go of, like all that stress and the tension. I
Mhm.
carry it all the way through my shoulders, so they're just like on fire right now. But it's like it's not a bad like hurting fire.
Yeah.
It's like I just relaxed the first time. Keep doing like I just keep reading your post every day and just realizing more and more that like I'm doing like I'm where I'm supposed to be.
Mhm.
Like to be able to make the time on during the week is really difficult, but I'm doing it every week. Like I have 3 backups for childcare to make sure that I can be here because I need
Awesome.
to.
Yeah.
It's good for me to like trying to release this block that I have still in. So I don't know how to do it without. I guess
Well,
it's
here's the
scary,
thing. So get rid of the word trying.
right?
Say I am.
I
So
am.
when you're saying like an affirmation, like for instance, in my belly dance class, no one's allowed to say I can't. You can say, I'm not able to do it at this time, but I'm going to keep working on it. But if you tell yourself, well, I can't do this, well, you might as well go home.
Right.
Because you've already like, you've already jinxed yourself.
Right. You've already put the energy out there.
Yeah. So when you make an affirmation, you make it present. I release blah blah blah, fill in the blank. I have blah blah blah, whatever it is. And I catch myself saying try. And every time I do, I'm like, you know,
Right? Like the concept.
like I know better and I still do it,
Right.
you know. So
A lot of stuff
So-
ingrained. into,
Mhm.
Like there we go. I've been teaching my son, how to use his words. And I'm trying to teach my nephew because that is definitely trying about how he uses words because
Mhm.
he uses like hate and like those kind of
Mm.
words a lot. And I'm like, but no, we don't bring that into ourselves. You can dislike something, that's fine, but don't hate it. Hate's a very strong and powerful word. You don't want to bring that energy to you.
And how old is he?
He's 8.
Yeah, so at that age, they do have a lot of energy, not just physical energy, but they can also a lot of metaphysical energy and stuff too, without even realizing,
Right.
So yeah, words have power.
That's
So
what
good job.
especially with Callan. I'm like, we don't.
Mhm.
But they said it. It doesn't matter what they said.
Mm.
We don't use the
Yeah.
word.
Yeah.
That's why I do it.
Yeah.
But
If they don't, I'm like, how many
Right,
times
she's
did I hear my
"But my
parents say?
Yeah.
I was remembering how saying, would you jump off a bridge if they jumped off a bridge? And then when I got older, I was like, well, I mean, it depends on how high this bridge is. Like, is it going to be fun?
Is it bungee jumping?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We started like diving into the water. It's great. What are you talking about?
It's like, what?
I think now that we're talking about it, I feel like that's my mother still at 41. I'm still like, yeah, she's never. So, with what other like rituals go along with letting go? You said the doing the leaf in the
So
water.
if you don't have a physical river, you can, you don't have to have physical things. You can do this like every day at the end of your day, like maybe somebody cut you off in traffic, maybe, or whatever.
Everyday occurrence.
Yes.
Well, especially right now with
Right.
and in that situation, I Reiki the people. So that way, whatever, because Reiki can't hurt anybody. So I'm just sending them energy as they go away. Yes, go away from me. So I had a shiny moment. Sorry.
Doing it in your head.
In your head. Okay. So this is a great visualization. And I got it from, I forget which book, but it's by Scott Cunningham. And so in your head, what you can do is just close your eyes and you can walk on a path and go up to a bridge and go halfway on the bridge. And this is a great way to like start any meditation, because that way, because when you're trying to meditate, you're like, did I unplug the stove or whatever, or not stove, unplug the
Coffee
whatever,
maker.
the coffee maker, yeah, like, oh, you know what I mean? So what you can do is have a river, whatever direction, and then you just stand at the, at the top of the bridge, at the side, where there's the rail, and you can just, okay, I take, the whatever it is, like this guy who flips me off on the road, and watch it float away. Okay, that's gone. Okay. And then this car repair bill, I have no idea how to pay for it. Watch it plunk, and it floats away. And if you need to take your time if you do this on a regular basis, it becomes a lot easier to go like bloop, bloop, right? But if you need to like and blop, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And splash and watch it. Yeah. So that's another way to do this thing that we just did. Maybe you're in a situation where you want to release something and you're in a scenario where you can't do all these things. Like maybe you're at work and you just had a really stressful moment and you want to release it. You can just do this visualization, like maybe just run to the bathroom, where you won't be disturbed for a few minutes, and then just release it, watch it go in the water and float away. And so there's oodles of ways that you can release. It doesn't always have to involve, burning. You could even send things on the wind. It's a windy day. You can release them into the wind. You could even have fun, like, go to Dollar Tree and get those bubbles, right? Right? You can blow the things you want to release into the bubbles and watch them float away. So there you go, and pop. So really you're only restricted by your imagination.
It's just nice to have a ritual involved in it too.
Yeah.
Just like watching it burn.
Yeah.
Solidify it.
Yeah.
Like,
For sure.
let it all go.
And then just make sure you follow up on a mundane level. So if there's a person, you're like, yeah, I really need to cut ties with this person. If depending, like if it's somebody you have to see, a regular basis, then you might want to work on healing, that situation. But if it's somebody you can literally cut ties and never see them again, then, just pull an Elsa and let it go, and maybe, even if you're tempted to try to reconnect and like, hey, can we work things out? It's probably just best to just for sure cut that cord and be done. And you'll know what's the right thing to do. Sometimes you really want to like tell that person off or whatever and have the last word, and sometimes it's just better just to shut up and walk away.
Finding that shutting up and walking away is a much better option these days. I've been really trying like to release a lot of stuff from my ex, and he pulled something again today. And I was just like, I'm gonna slam the cabinet door in my head. I'm not gonna actually physically slam the cabinet door. It's just in my head, it's just slamming, just not actually react to what I feel like what he did was looking for a reaction. So I just let it go. I also did. I let it go. Like I can't let it hold me back anymore. It's just adding more to the stress of me trying to like reopen myself and not be so blocked. My head, I've been in a constant state of headache for probably like 2 weeks now.
Oh,
But it's not like debilitating. It's just like it's all right here.
oh, so that's probably you not listening to your intuition.
Right.
Because all your intuition, whether you, because there's clairaudience where you hear things, clairgustance where you, trying to remember, gustance is when you taste, or there's when you smell things, you might smell your grandma's perfume, you know what I mean? So if you, whether you see something or hear something, taste something, smell something, it all filters through here. So if you're not listening to something, and I know that from personal experience because I was not listening to, trying to remember what it was, but I'm blanking on it. But and I kept getting the sinus pressure headache.
Yeah.
And nothing was working. So then I was like, this is not physical.
So I know last week I was like, it's not physical. Like, so what is it? What do I have to let go of? What am I not listening to? But like, I've been finding that like once this past weekend when I was at market, like once I got set up and like had talked to a few people, it like started to dissipate. So I was like, okay, so this is about more, it's mostly about like what I'm doing and like fear of not trusting myself and getting this stuff done.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there's it's just a work in progress. Working towards it every day to open myself up more, let it go.
And anytime you have a concern, I don't want to say worry because that's not a good word, but anything just pops up, you can always reach out to spirit guides, angels, beloved ancestors. What am I leaving out? Ascended masters. Any of them, all of them. If you have like a particular angel you like to call on, or if you want to call on all of them, you know what I mean? So you can, if something's bewildering to me, like why does this person act like this? What is their motivation? Because I can make up a story as to why they did what they did. I could be way wrong. Right. So I'll say spirit guides, angels, ascended masters, ancestors. Help me to understand what this person is about, why they did what they did. And you can always call upon them. You don't have to go through any sort of steps to open that up, because you have free will. And so if you never talk to your spirit guides, they're just like, okay. any day
They're
now.
just
You're right.
floating around.
And of course, in spirit guides and angels and whatnot, they're gonna have other people, but they're not corporeal beings. They're not tied to this physical plane, so they can check on other people and come back to you and be like, "Yep, she's still not listening to me."
What are we gonna do to her now? How about a 2-week headache? Here we go.
So, never be afraid, like, when you either, it can be loud, or silently, whatever works for you, because I have a long drive, so that's a good time for me to, I'll be grateful for the things that went well, and if something didn't go well, then that's when I ask for wisdom, guidance, ideas, suggestions.
All that stuff.
Mhm,
No, I might be going to BP soon. I'm looking forward to that 6-hour drive.
mhm.
Because I'll be doing a lot of it. I feel like a lot of my meditation used to happen when I was driving, and it doesn't so much happen anymore like that because I have a 4-year-old in the back telling me to turn it up and stuff like that.
Well,
Sounds
that's
weird that I
funny.
meditated when I was driving, but I don't.
No, I understand what you're saying because if you have the same route,
Mhm.
so you kind of go on autopilot, like your body is still paying attention, but there's a part of your brain that's, um, of course, there is such a thing. I forget what it's called when like you keep seeing the, um, when you're driving, and it's dark, so your lights are hitting
Yeah.
the painted line.
Yeah.
And you don't hear anything, but it's that boom, boom, boom visually, and that will put you into a trance. So you have to be careful of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, there are times like you'll get a message of some kind. You're like, oh, okay.
I'm driving, not right now.
Yeah. Thank you for that. But, cool.
It used to happen to me a lot when I was west. I would just be in the car, the music was turned up, but like at nighttime,
Yeah.
and then that's when like I'd start getting tired too.
Oh,
and I'm like,
yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
need to pull over and take a nap. But it put me right into that trance state where I'm like, oh, how many miles did I just go? I don't even remember. All across, Iowa and Nebraska.
Yeah.
There's nothing to see anyways.
Yeah, do you have any questions about the moon phases?
I know nothing.
But
I think I've been pretty open about that.
Yeah.
I
you keep
literally don't
coming,
know
so
anything.
that, yeah.
Well, it's super interesting to me, and I actually have a channel. Like I've got that beginner's book, for me, and then I got one for my daughter. But I don't even know where to begin. So that's why I thought that book would be good. But because you guys obviously know way more than I do, so I just kind of
But
listen
I don't
and
know
trying to
that
soak it up in my memory. Pretty much everything. Yeah, so I don't know anything. Like I don't know science, like anything about the different moon phases and what it does, and everything that you guys are talking about. I know nothing.
Okay, alrighty.
So I know that's hard because most of the time there's more than just being reached. So I sometimes feel lost just because I don't I need to start from the beginning.
And this fall we will.
But I love to I still enjoy obviously doing the stuff and I'm learning and I'm buying on different racks today. I've got a couple already on my stand, my night stand.
Yeah.
I do feel a difference. I feel less
More grounded?
I don't know. I feel like weight has been lifted. I don't know if that I'm sure that makes sense to you, but I don't know, I feel lighter and I don't know why.
Probably because you're
assuming
tapping
because
into higher vibrations.
Maybe.
So are you familiar with the chakras at all?
I've heard
Okay.
of a chakra. Like I know the word.
So, I do have a visual aid out on the sales floor. It's not here right now. So they're color coded. And so you've got, you have the root. So here's your color codes. And it's just the rainbow. So you have red and orange, yellow, green, light blue, dark blue, purple. So red, it's called the root chakra. So if you want to think of like a red sports car or a girl in a red dress, they're more earthy, money, kind of things, right? And there's nothing wrong with having a red sports car or buying a red dress. But it's going to be more about money, prestige, sex, that sort of thing.
Red
Right.
room.
The red room.
Fifty Shades of Grey.
Oh, okay. I've seen the movie. I've not read the book. And then, so if you go to the other end of the spectrum, purple. So the opposite of that would be very spiritual, right? So you're connecting with the higher dimensions like angels or spirit guides, ascended masters. So you might, what it is you're shifting more those higher vibrations. And it's not that lower vibrations are bad. I mean, everybody needs a car to get around. Well, not everybody. If you live in a city where you can take a train or something. But you know what I mean? Like, I'm not knocking the red sports car, or the red dress, or anything like that. Obviously, you need to have food and shelter and all that. So, what I'm trying to say is you're tapping into those higher dimensions. That's probably where you're feeling lighter.
Okay.
You're again, and you want to stay balanced. You know, you want to make sure that you are taking care of your physical needs and the physical needs of your children and whatnot. That is important. But if you have that balance, if you're taking that time to also work on your spirituality and meditating and things like that. So so I think you're just feeling that shift and you're like, well, I don't know what it is.
Yeah. Like, I don't know, but I feel good.
And this can be very empowering.
Oh, I love it. And you know, like I was saying earlier, Bryn loved it last week too.
Awesome.
So she wants to come again next week. She's with her dad.
Fantastic. Oh yeah, yeah, yep. Mm-hmm.
So she wants to come next week again. So that'll be nice.
Super.
Yeah, she'd be here right now.
Her reading was just spot on.
Yeah, I think it helped a lot with her too. Like, I think she
I'm hoping.
opened up a little bit too and realized that she was like, it was okay to be who she was, but she needed to like just deal with whatever else.
Okay, but sorry, to answer your question about the moon phases. So technically there's 8, but I'm not gonna like throw all 8 at you because that's a lot. But if you want to think just 4 basic moon phases, so you know what the full moon is, and then the opposite of that, most people call that the new moon.
Okay.
So there's 3 days of the full moon, and then 3 days where you don't see the moon at all.
Okay.
And then there's that little sliver in the sky, like the Cheshire cat smile.
Yeah.
That's my fave. I love that. I'm like, ah, that's my favorite. So to me, that's what I call the new moon, because then it's new again. But most people call the 3 days where you can't see it. That's what most people call. So you have those 3 days where you don't see the moon at all, and then every day it's gonna get more and 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 more until it's full. And then you're gonna it's gonna get smaller, 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 until you can't see it anymore. And so basically every 28 days. So moon, that's or and month, they're basically the same word. So month came from MOANTH. And somehow we're somewhere along the line we lost the A and we just say month. So it's a month is one moon cycle. So technically we have 13 months in a year, but the calendar we use is 12. And it's all wacky. Like
Yeah.
for 30, there's that rhyme, like certain months have certain,
What do you have to do
like,
knuckles?
Yeah, we always do
Oh.
this one.
oh really? I don't know this.
January, February, March, April, May, June, July, and then every knuckle is 31 day.
Oh,
Then you get back to August, because August is 31 days, August, September, October, November. Other than February, which, whatever goes on in February.
yeah. But back in the day, it was before people really had calendars. They would, and if they wanted to meet somebody, that well, I'll meet you, on the new moon. So you would just pick, like one of those 3 days, you would meet that person. You know what I mean? Like it was, now we're so ingrained to where, the exact second of the day.
Right.
Yeah.
Time, everything.
Right.
So the ancients, they would see, there's the moon and it gets bigger and then it gets smaller, it gets bigger and it gets smaller, and so it, I'm sure all around the globe, as it was getting bigger, then I mean there are people that will plant certain like certain seeds. I forget, like there's like potatoes and certain things like that you have to plant like certain phases of the moon. Like to this
Okay.
day, yeah. So like you'll see that in Old Farmer's Almanac, right? And it's because that was passed down from generation to generation to generation. Because they saw like, okay, as the moon's getting bigger, and like if you want big pumpkins, that's when you're gonna plant your pumpkin, right? Stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's where it also comes into play with magic. Because back in the day, you had to have food to make it through the winter. So they used that system for planting, and then they also use that system for magic to create the change, that they wanted to see in their lives. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Mhm.
It all goes hand in hand, but like growth and birth,
Yeah. Mhm.
then death and harvesting.
Yep. Yep.
Cut it down. Time to go.
Yeah.
That's kind of how harvesting really works that way too. Because there's certain things that come together or come into fruit before other things based
Yeah.
on,
Mhm.
planting time and stuff like that. Like strawberries in June.
Mhm.
That's a thing. I never knew that was a thing. I'd definitely eat it.
Yeah, because when you just go to the store and you get
Right,
bananas any time of the year,
right.
right? But in if you I did touch on this briefly when I would have been prepared. I would have made drawings on the board. But so there's 3 harvest festivals. So the first one is the end of July, beginning of August, and that's gonna be more berries, nuts. And then the second one we call the equinox. And then the final one is what we call Halloween. And that's where you're gonna get the very last of the grain cut down. So yeah. So there's all this in the spring about um, fertility, and because that way, if you put all that intention into the fertility, excuse me, then you can have those 3 bountiful harvests and get through the winter. Yeah. Mhm.
Everybody always thinks it's crazy. I'm like, you're 71% water. The moon affects all tides. You know, like, it affects you.
Mhm.
It affects your 71%. It's gonna make you crazy.
Very quiet this time. That's
I
funny.
know.
I
Yeah.
normally just listen. But then
Yeah.
it's just talk.
Yeah. Okay.
I just feel like after that, I'm like,
okay.
all this stuff's kind of going out of my brain.
Okay.
So it's like, I don't know if there's room for any thought there.
That's okay.
What about so the position of the sun, how does that affect? So, the sun changes the position throughout the year. So how does that affect some of the stuff that,
Throughout the year. Okay. So, we have the vernal or spring equinox and the autumnal or fall equinox, right? So that equinox means equal night. So equal day, equal night. So basically 12 hours each. So if you live at the equator, every day is the equinox. It's right. And here we're basically at the 45th parallel. So as the sun doesn't always rise in the east. It's eastish, right? Yeah. So in the winter, we don't get very much. So if this is the equator, I sorry, I don't have visual aids, but so in the winter we don't get as much sun, and then in the summer, like from someone who's not from around here, they're like, if they're from Texas, where they're closer to the equator, right? And almost every day is half and half. They come here and they're like, when does the sun actually go down? Like for 4th of July fireworks, you have to wait until like 10:30,
right?
right? So, and then it comes back, again. So, at the solstices, if you don't have to go to Stonehenge if you're in New York City, because their streets line up east to west. I forget what they call it, but they call it like they do call it something henge. I'm blanking on it, but yeah, the sun will rise like right and up, it happens every year, and so apparently like it totally drives people nuts in New York City because everybody's like gathering. You can't get anywhere because there's all these people watching the sunrise between these buildings.
Right.
Yeah. So the ancients, they didn't really necessarily, well, I take that back. The Mayans might have figured it out because I don't know how they figured out when these stars were going to come back around, and like on such a day we're going to have that. I have no idea how they figured that out because they didn't have telescopes.
Right.
I don't know. But yeah, so that's am I answering your question?
Yeah.
Okay. So the sun rises in the east,
Right.
but sometimes it's southeast, sometimes it's northeast, and that's what really affects us. So it's not magical, that's
Just the way it is.
astrophysics.
And is there certain like things as far as our heightened abilities or like just a general mood that is affected, other than, I guess it is because in the wintertime we get depressed.
Yeah.
Living in
sad.
Hawaii, it's so
Mhm.
close to the equator that the sun,
Yeah.
it only changes like an hour depending on the
Uh-huh.
season.
Yeah.
So like people don't understand that it stays like 10:30,
Yeah,
11 o'clock. They're like, what? This is like sun doesn't set at 6:30, 7:30. I'm like, no, it stays light all day. And then the summertime, we get shorter days than you guys do. Yeah, the wintertime. So yeah, that obviously affects us in that way. Because the sun is life. I mean, it gives life.
Yeah, yeah. So most cultures around the globe will see the sun as masculine, but there are some that see it as feminine because it gives life. But I feel like most see Mother Earth as that, the mother, right? And he's supporting her. So you'll see a lot of that theme. You know, the goddess is a mother goddess. But she's being supported by the male god.
Right. Which is how
So,
that's supposed to be what the symbiotic relationship is between man and woman.
mhm.
Supported. We've lost that.
Well, unfortunately, patriarchy, women really are just, if you look, it wasn't that long ago that women were not, I mean, just chattel, you know? So, I mean, like down south, I mean, you had the slaves that were property, but then the women, you know, they were really just slightly above that.
Right.
You know, and it was just the men. And that, if you think about it, that came from medieval times. Like if you watch Game of Thrones, right?
I've never watched it.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm not happy with the way that it ended, so I'm not going to tell you to start watching it. Okay, I'm not going to tell you to start watching it. But so it's just everything's male centered.
Right.
And women are just you know, there's one character, she's a twin, so she what is it, fraternal twins? So there's male and female. Is that what it's?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. So they're twins. They're two halves of the same person. But because he's a man, he gets to do this, and because she's a woman, she just has to bear children. Right? Like she's, so even though she's not a good person, she does make a good point.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So so patriarchy, you know, it just women are lesser than, you know, and so I feel like in the 60s and 70s they were with there was a shift, and that's when the Fellowship of Isis was founded, to counterbalance, not to be like anti-male, but trying to bring that more feminine energy in.
Right.
And then, and you can go the other way, and there are those that will that are just, there's just women only groups, and I do understand it to an extent, like if you feel safer in a women only area, but at the same time, like we don't want to do what the other people did.
Right.
Right. So we got to maintain that balance where we want that balance of feminine and masculine, like you were saying, you know, supporting of each other.
Right.
So
Witches and the warlocks.
oh, well, just so you know, warlock, it means oath breaker.
Is that what it? See, I was wondering about that. I
Yeah.
should have asked that.
Yeah.
Yep,
So if
so
somebody
no
says
warlock.
they're a warlock, they
Stay
either
away.
don't know what they're saying, they're just, they don't know what they just said, or they're flat out telling you, I'm gonna stab you in the back.
Ah.
So a warlock, I forget like the original word, a Gaelic word, but it translates as oath breaker. So during the burning times, I mean, there was reason for secrecy at that time, because people could be killed for believing in the old ways.
Right.
Right. Nowadays, I mean, if you might get fired from your job for your religion, but you can sue for that, you know,
Right,
but you don't have to worry about like somebody killing you for it.
Right.
So so people would like the witch hunters would know enough to say the right things and be like, hey, I'm new in town, and it would infiltrate a coven and then turn them all in so they could get killed. And yeah, so warlock technically the translation is oath breaker. So
No warlocks.
yeah.
There's enough of those.
So I mean, any oath breaker, you could call them a warlock, and they'd be like, "What?" They wouldn't know what you meant,
Right.
but it would be factually correct to call them that. So a witch is a witch, whether they're male or female. And honestly, there's so much non-binary anymore, you know. So So if someone says Wiccan or witch, and you know, so you don't have to have these female witch or male witch. You don't have to like add that to it,
Right.
you know. So like in Harry Potter, there's witches and wizards.
Right.
So
Same thing.
so I thought that was like, okay, well, at least you didn't use the word warlock.
Right. She did a little more research on that one.
Well, there are some things that are from lore, you know, and then like it's been forever since I've seen the movies or read the books. But like when I think it's in book one or movie one where they have the mandrakes and they screech.
Yes.
Well, there is a mandrake root, and the reason it's called mandrake, it looks because the way the roots grow, they look like people.
Okay.
Yeah. Have you watched the Harry Potter movies?
Mhm.
Okay, but it's been a while.
Yeah.
But if you remember, they take him out of the pot and they put him back. Yeah. Yeah. So she took some things that were real and then put a fun twist on
So,
them. Yeah.
maybe they actually used to scream.
Yeah.
You never know. From hearing the plants. Somebody once told me that they could hear the plants screaming when they were cut down. I was like, you're not even vegan then. What what do you eat?
Yeah. Yeah. If we could all be like plants and just use photosynthesis,
Right.
that would be great.
Except for the winter time when we don't get
That's- yeah.
Give me that thing.
No, that's fine. I mean, we can totally wrap up.
Just feeling very like
Yeah, that's awesome.
let it go.
Oh,
Like to sing it on the way home. Callan sings it all the time. Callan likes anything with like music. Any Disney
Yeah.
movie that has music. Like if the TV is on, but it's usually a movie, but he never watches it until the songs come on, and then he stops what he's doing and he
Oh,
runs to the living room,
Okay.
and then sings and dances. And when
Aw.
it's done, he goes back to whatever he was,
Aw.
like crashing dinosaurs
Yeah.
or like throwing toys.
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Very musically inclined.
Very
I'm
cool.
gonna get him.
There's a program called Drama.
Yeah, isn't it at the Full
Through
Town
Leap.
Playhouse? Was it through Leap?
Oh no, it's not. I know we can register because Brenda was gonna do it one year. They ended up canceling it because there wasn't enough kids.
Yeah, he needs something. Like he's perfected like the walking down the stairs already.
Oh,
Like, whoa. How do you do that? I'm like, wait a second, whose kid are you?
Okay, yeah, it's almost 9, so. Okay. Very cool.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed that a lot. Very letting go.
Super. Oh, and then, so, yeah, so a week from tomorrow. So new moon is gonna be Saturday. But I have the new moon circle a week from tomorrow here. Yes, yeah. And it's also a conjunction. And I know that's astrology, and astrology is it can get quite involved. But there's the planets will align in certain ways. So it's going to be a good thing. Whatever you're passionate about, whatever your new projects you want to start, it's a really good time to. So we're going to tap into the new moon energy as well as so new moon is great for anything new,
Right.
right? But then also we can we're going to focus on the things that you want to manifest, you know. And I feel like it's really good now that we're coming out of not like COVID is gone, but we're coming out of COVID and we're starting to get back to normal again.
Yeah.
And yeah. So the things that we want to, like maybe there are things we put on hold. You know, they've been on hold for a year and a half.
Yeah.
Then this is gonna be a good time to pick them back up again. Yeah.
Let it go. Pick back up the good stuff.
Yeah. So it's a good, if you are going to make, if you want to bring new things in, it's a good idea to make room for them. You know, if you're an earth sign like me, you tend to just accumulate. So it can be a task, but if you move things out, then it's making space for new things to come in. So anytime you want to remove things from your life, it's a good idea to fill that void with good stuff, good habits, good new practices.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Out with the old and with the new.
Yep. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I am going to stop the recording and I will post it in our Facebook group.